Hi, my name is hanspetermeyer, and I'm interviewing Meaghan Cursons here in Cumberland as part of the 3x2x8 conversation about sustainability in the Comox Valley. Meaghan, can you tell me a little bit about how long you've been in the Comox Valley? You were involved with the working group for the sustainability strategy for a while. It was the social
and community well-being.
Right. So why did you choose that one to get involved in?
I mean, there were many I would have been involved. I would have happily been involved in economics or social and community well-being, but my background in the Valley, and as you know, one of the starting places for me was the Small Town and Rural Community Institute, where I was really interested in the conversation about social and environmental sustainability and healthy, progressive community living. And I did a lot of work with young people in youth employment projects at that time, working with youth at risk, or what youth isn't at risk, so working with young people for many years. And then I went on to work with Vancouver Island Music Fest, which is a cultural organization, but also a giant community engagement experiment. Many years with the tourism industry, coordinating and then managing Comox Valley tourism, and working with both large and small players in the tourism industry, and a whole bunch of work with the Chambers of Commerce as well, both the Comox Valley, doing some social change initiatives like the Bag Free Project, and some work we're doing right now in the regional growth strategy, and the Cumberland Chamber of Commerce. So I'm all over the map, but all of that is social. I mean, all of that's economic and all of that's environmental. So I went, social, that sounds good. I'm a social person.
You are, and you're one of my favorite people in the Valley. I love doing work with you, and actually this 3x2x8 project came out of a conversation that Meaghan and I and David Stapley had. So what the project is 3 questions to a number of people who are, have some kind of a leadership role in the various 8 pillars of sustainability. And you were involved in the social well-being one, so that's where my questions are going to be oriented towards. So the first of the 3 questions is, what excites you about the Comox Valley sustainability strategy?
With a focus on the social and community well-being component, what excites me is the idea of the Valley, through some sort of vehicle, I don't know which part of local government it's going to be or what the agency is going to be, looking at social planning. And I don't mean that from we need to plan how we're social together, but social planning in terms of having an integrated view of the work that we do both through government and through nonprofits and providing for each other. It's around food, it's around childcare, it's around culture, it's around heritage. All of those things, we don't have a social planner in this community, and communities of relative size will have one. Problem is our community of relative size is split amongst a whole bunch of different jurisdictions, so none of them really have the critical mass that can justify that investment. But we need it desperately, because what we have is issues popping up within our respective communities. We have nonprofits doing work, delivering services in different communities, and they don't have an advocate.
Right, so how does the strategy address that? Or what will
the strategy is actually calling for that. So one of the recommendations within the social health and community well-being component is the call for investment by local government in a regional social planner. So the fact that somebody regionally would be looking at social, cultural, community health, because right now that stuff sort of falls under recreation a little bit, and that's pretty much it, and then there's some ad hoc work that happens. The fact that there would be somebody dedicated, somebody coming to this work with the background in community development and social work that could contribute leadership skills and do some work with the community as a whole to enhance what we're doing is exciting, because the Valley really needs this. We're in incredible shape considering the lack of coordination and the lack of advocacy between those groups and government. So it could be a heck of a lot better if we invested those resources.
Okay, and the second question is, what's going to be the challenge to implementing that, for example, that particular part of the strategy, but the strategy generally?
Well, the challenge is both. The challenge is we have 5 levels of local government, and I've been in Cumberland for 15 years, and I am fiercely protective and in love with the village of Cumberland and see it as this really distinct entity, and I do a lot of work out here in community volunteer work around the identity that is in Cumberland. But I am a resident of the Comox Valley, and as far as I look at my role in community leadership, it's of the Valley. The Valley is a bioregion, and we need to not only be thinking environmentally about the whole region, but we need to be thinking socially and culturally about the whole region. I think that the Land Trust and the conservation strategy have done some really good work toward this, looking at the whole picture. But I've been involved in green politics. Back in '96, I ran for the Green Party when sustainability was like a dirty word or something, or people, what does that word mean anyways, when you say sustainability? Or when you talked about watershed democracy, that only meant water, and watershed democracy is this concept that we should govern within regions where water flows in and water flows out.
So how does this tie into a challenge for the social
Well,
side
the social
of
is the same. We need to look at social bioregionalism at the same time. That's the idea that not only do we have to take responsibility for water in, water out, we have to take responsibility for the whole social well-being of the region within which we live.
So what's the challenge?
The challenge is that we have interests, 5 interests, and those interests are local government, and those interests relate to the taxpayers of those individual regions. And so investment and cooperating as it relates to investment to address bioregional issues is challenging. And I don't know how to say this because I don't want to be the one that says we need to amalgamate, and I don't think we need to amalgamate, but I think we need to look at district municipality, or we need to explore governance so that we can start to look at our region, not just with the regional district, but in all of these different ways. We need to look at the region. We need to stop an arts organization from going cap in hand to 5 different levels of government to deliver their programming to the valley as a whole. We need to stop a social service organization, a food bank, a Lush Valley, a Wache Friendship Center, a Dawn-to-Dawn Action on Homelessness from going and making petition to individual councils in this valley to get support. We don't have policy leadership happening valley-wide. And as this fierce protector of Cumberland, my little Cumberland that I live in, it's hard, the challenge is it's hard for me to even say it. It's hard for me to even say we need to govern regionally. But I think we need to govern regionally. But we need to do that in a creative way, and I think there are ways to do this so that the distinctness of these little communities, some aren't even incorporated, the distinctness of Merville, the distinctness of Royston, the distinctness of Lazo, is somehow incorporated into that. And that has to do with, and this is another really neat part of the sustainability strategy discussion that didn't necessarily make its way through, but I think it could, is where do neighborhoods fall into this, and where do small communities fall into their role in governance? So, as I ramble around, it's a governance discussion. How are we going to govern ourselves? And the challenge is that people who are in charge of governance in the valley appear to have hesitation or fear or anxiety about really tackling the governance issue.
So that's the big one, okay? Third question is, what are you...
Go on and on about
Yeah, I know, and I'm looking at the clock. The third question has to do with what are you, or the organizations you're involved with, how do you see yourselves working constructively with local governments, other businesses, community organizations to make Comox Valley a sustainable place?
For some reason, I have found a real desire to bringing together both the business and private sector and the NGO community. And I think that work's not going to go away for me. I'm working for our Big Earth Media company right now. We do an online magazine that's related to connecting businesses, organizations, and individuals who are working towards the quality of life in the Comox Valley. Years of working with tourism in the chamber, I fell in love with the kind of creativity and innovation that exists within the business community. I think that the best way for me to continue to support the sustainability strategy is to do the kind of work I've been doing with Music Fest at the chamber with tourism, to say that business is not something that doesn't care about community. We need to get business and nonprofits aligned towards some common goals. And I will continue to do that and be a voice for business is not the capitalist dog that just only wants to make money, and nonprofits need to not only be cap in hand bleeding hearts. We need to together be more strategic and intelligent and position ourselves as leaders in the community and not just let local government that's elected at 25, 30, 35% of the population be the one who's leading. That business and NGO community needs to combine forces and lead, because in fact, in a lot of cases, it's more representative than what we're dealing with local councils.
Thanks a lot. And I just want to say, we're going to post lots of this stuff. We want you to pick up your cameras or your pens or whatever and do your own 3 questions to whomever you want to talk to or want to get out there with this conversation about sustainability in the Comox Valley. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Meaghan.
Yeah.